Dr. Bryson here with a video about academic integrity. In this video, we're going to talk about cheating. Um, we are also going to talk about plagiarism and AI use. So I am now going to share my screen so that you can see the PowerPoint. Okay, so first, let's talk about cheating in general. Looking off somebody else's paper, looking at your phone while you're taking a test, looking up answers on the internet while you're taking a test, all of those things are cheating. And if you get caught, you will fail. You will fail that assignment at the bare minimum, and you might fail the whole class. And that is going to depend on the professor. For me, it depends on how many points the assignment is worth, whether you fail on that. But let's now talk about plagiarism and academic integrity. But before we do that, it is extremely important to understand that as criminal justice majors, we expect you to have the highest levels of integrity. We are going to be sending you out to be police officers and corrections officers. Okay, someone who cheats, we do not want to send out there with the gun strapped to their hip in a uniform with nobody watching them. We just don't want that to happen. We have strong reservations about those individuals. Criminal justice is a high stakes profession. If you cheat, people will die. So we just want to make sure that you understand how important academic integrity is among criminal justice majors. So let's think about the graphic that you see in front of you now. So plagiarism we do not permit, and we're going to talk about the three types. AI use, not permitted when it is a replacement for your work. Hard work is something that we do encourage. So let's talk about that part of the graphic right now. It's good to be motivated to succeed. Okay, I've talked with a lot of folks in the military with boot camp and even know someone who was a Navy SEAL and they've talked about their SEAL training. They had no idea why they had to do some of the things they had to do. But once they were out on the battlefield or doing missions, they realized that there was a rhyme and reason to everything they had to go through. You might think, why in the world do I need to do a test? Why in the world do I need to write a paper? Why do I need to do this? Why do I need to do that? Our hope is that not that you don't hate them. I mean, some people hate papers, some people love writing papers, but that at least early in your career, you'll start to understand why we had you do these things, why we had you do these assignments in your classes. It's good to work hard, do more than is expected. When I was working on my PhD, anytime we would read about a particular theory, for example, when we read about deterrence theory, I wasn't content just to read the textbook chapter on deterrence theory. I went and purchased Cesare Beccaria's On Crime and Punishment and read the entire book in that term. It was going the extra mile, doing more than the expectations. And it's also always good to begin working on your major project, your term paper, at the beginning of the semester. All right, so let's talk about plagiarism, where there are three basic types. The first one is intentional plagiarism. That is where you intentionally take the work of someone else and give it to your professor as though it were your work. Now, plagiarism happens in other places as well, but I'm talking about in your classes as a student. In my class, intentional plagiarism is going to result in you receiving a failing grade for the class, period. You will fail the class. Now, other professors may have a different policy, but mine is intentional plagiarism is a fail. Then there's unintentional plagiarism. This is where you don't cite your sources. as I read these papers, I can tell that this person used sources and they're not trying to take those sources as their own, but they didn't cite their sources according to APA. Now, in my classes, unintentional plagiarism will result in a 25% deduction from the total possible points for that assignment. So let's say that it is a term paper. My term papers are usually worth 100 points. So let's say that on that term paper, I grade it based on the 100 points. So let's say you get an 85. Well, from that 85, I then deduct the 25 points from the possible 100. So that leaves you 60 points. A 60 is the lowest D you can make. So I just want to make sure you understand that. So unintentional plagiarism is basically something that you just forget to use APA the right way, and you have to use it the right way, because if you don't, it looks like you're not giving credit to your sources. And then there's what we call self-plagiarism. That is where you take a paper from another class or from someplace else where you've done this work, not for this class, but then you submit it to a particular class as though you wrote it for that class. Okay, you're not permitted to do that. The purpose of writing a paper, every time you write one, is to gain more experience writing these papers. That's one of the main purposes. Not the only one, but one of the main ones. Now, if you come to me and ask, and you say, Dr. B, I wrote a paper for my high school criminal justice class on the outcomes of transfers to adult courts of juvenile offenders. Can I use that paper for this class? I will likely say to you, you wrote this in high school where you didn't know what you know now. You may just know a little bit more, but you still know a little bit more. Plus, you have the experience of having written that paper. If you're doing what you should do after every paper, you start second guessing a little bit about it and wonder how, and start thinking about how you could have written it a little bit better. So I might say you can write your paper on that, but I want you to take the old one, not use it for this class, but use it as your diving board to dive into writing a new paper on the same topic and fix what you should have done in the original paper. That can be a little dangerous because if you're rewriting a topic you've already studied, I kind of expect it to be a little better than I would have if you're writing on the topic for the first time. So just saying. All right, so now let's talk about automated intelligence. Now, it's commonly called artificial intelligence, but automated is really the correct term because we do automate it. We don't just create a regular computer out there. My gaming PC that I'm using right now, and I don't do gaming, but it gives me so much more power for making videos and things like that. My gaming PC doesn't learn. I have to write an algorithm for it. I have to automate it. Okay, so it's automated intelligence, and it's based on the algorithms that are created by human beings. Now, yes, human beings have created algorithms for computers to learn how to create algorithms, and yes, that's a thing, and I get that. I get that. But my point is that it is automated and it's based on an algorithm, and algorithms can be bad. For instance, NEDA, an organization called National Eating Disorder Awareness, they created an artificial or automated intelligence chat for people who have anorexia and bulimia to chat with 24/7, 365. So a bunch of women with anorexia were going to this, and after about 3 to 4 days, rather than helping them with good advice, it started teaching them how to lose weight better. The algorithm didn't learn from itself the way it should have. Okay, so just want you to understand the perils of automated intelligence. So we tend to talk about it as generative AI. I mean, it's creating something. Okay. So let's think about the improper use of generative automated intelligence or generative AI. You may not use AI to generate your papers for you. Okay. And I know most of the tricks. Okay. Some of them I'm not going to share with you, but I do know that there are refilterings using AI and then putting things back in AI and running it through AI 2 and 3 times to try to mask that AI was being used. Okay. You may not use it to generate an outline for you to write your paper. Okay, the outline is your flow of thought. It is your argument. It is your logic. I already know that a computer is a logic machine. I know that it can be logical so long as garbage wasn't put into it in its algorithm. I need to know that you are a logic machine, that you can use logic. The outline is the logic of your argument. And then you flesh that out in the writing of your paper. Okay? You also may not use AI to do work that you should do. Any work you're supposed to be doing. Any work that is supposed to be for me to assess how your brain works in this, what your brain has learned, what skills your brain has picked up, AI cannot be used to do. So, assignments are meant to give you experience doing certain work and learning lessons from doing that work. So, using AI in place of your work robs you of those lessons. So, I want to say this in short, you may not use AI as a replacement for your work. Now, AI can be a tool or it can be a replacement. As a tool, AI is very good. As a search engine, you can have it search things for you in a much better way. I'm going to show you that here in just a minute. But here's the thing, use of AI in my class will result in a failing grade for that class. I want you to understand that. All right, so acceptable use of AI. You may use it as a search engine. Okay, you can use it as a search engine. And you can use it to check your work as well. So if you have an AI system that you can put the text of your paper in there and say, are there any factual errors in here? Okay, use it to fact check you. That's fine. But you have to write the fixes if it finds any problems. Okay, so the next pages are going to show you a good use of AI as a prompt as a search engine. Okay, so here we go. All right. So here's the prompt that I created. I am writing a paper on banning the death penalty. I need 5 peer-reviewed sources that are primary research articles. Please help me locate them. And I love this. I didn't even put peer-reviewed in there. And I didn't say empirical. I just said primary research studies. I didn't say that collected the data directly themselves, but look what AI did. Certainly, here are 5 peer-reviewed empirical primary research journal articles that present original data or experiments relevant to the death penalty debate, especially in the context of abolition advocacy. That's what we call banning the death penalty, abolishing the death penalty. All are primary research studies rather than opinion pieces or reviews. Okay, so I had to do screenshots. Okay, so here we've got Eberhard is number 1. That's in a journal called Psychological Science. Butler, Nyhan, Montgomery, and Torres is in a journal called Research and Politics. Then we have number 3, Baumgartner, in a journal called Journal of Race, Ethnicity, and Politics. Now, number 4, I might question. I did not follow the link to go to it, but it is via DPIC. So devaluing death, an empirical study of implicit racial bias on jury decision on jury decision making. So for this one, I would go to it and evaluate whether this is truly a valid, peer-reviewed primary research article. Okay. And then number 5, Sorensen and Wallace, and this is in a journal called Behavior Sciences and the Law, Justice Quarterly. Now, if you'll notice, Wikipedia is listed there, not because Wikipedia is the source itself, but because there's likely something on Wikipedia that mentions this. Okay, now here's something else that that ChatGPT did for me. How these 5 support an abolitionist case. So studies 1, 3, and 5 are about racial arbitrariness. So let's say that you realize this is a broad topic, so I want to narrow my topic to racial bias or racial arbitrariness in the application of capital punishment. You know that you've got 3 sources here that do focus on that. So it gives you that can help you narrow down your topic. And then additional pointers. It shows you that the Capital Jury Project is a thing that you can search for on the internet and find, and that it has a lot of research. And then there are also broad meta reviews, for example, by an organization called the National Research Council, and critiques of deterrence literature. Now, at the bottom, it says, would you like help accessing full texts, assistance formatting citations, APA or MLA, or finding additional studies on wrongful convictions, cost deterrence, and alternatives like LWOP? Happy to help. LWOP is life without the possibility of parole, or life without parole. So see, this is a great way of using it as a search engine. I asked for 5. You don't have to limit it by the number. Okay. So now let's look at a bad use of ChatGPT example. Okay, so this is what I told it. I didn't tell ChatGPT that I was writing a paper. I simply said, what are the academic arguments about abolishing the death penalty in the U.S.? Now, notice I said academic, because there are a lot of folks who are going to have emotional arguments. Okay, an emotional argument for keeping it is, well, when you kill someone, you deserve to die. There's no logic in that. Why do you deserve to die if you've killed someone? That's not. There aren't logical steps from the first statement to the second statement. There might be logical steps. I'm just saying that doesn't make them. Okay, so here is how it answered. Academic, and I'm not giving you the whole answer because I didn't want you to see what it looks like. I mean, I know you can find it on your own, but I want you to do the extra work if you're going to cheat. Cheat on this and find it. But anyway, academic arguments for abolishing the death penalty in the U.S. span multiple disciplines: law, criminology, sociology, psychology, economics, and philosophy. Scholars present a range of empirical, ethical, and pragmatic critiques. Here's a breakdown of the major academic arguments. So I let you see what number 1 is, and that's lack of deterrence. It gave me a list of 8. Okay? And it was a good list. I will tell you, if I got a freshman level paper or even a sophomore level paper with that list of 8, I would automatically suspect AI use. But anyway, let's move on to here. So then you scroll down, and at the very last thing that ChatGPT gives you is this. Would you like this information formatted for a research paper or annotated with citations in APA or MLA style? I can also provide counter arguments, that is, arguments in support of the death penalty, if you need to present both sides. So it actually tells you it can write the paper for you. Okay? Bad. All right. So what is the burden of proof for my classes? reasonable suspicion. Now, what does that mean as far as a burden of proof goes? All right, now preponderance of the evidence and clear and convincing evidence are non-criminal burdens of proof. Okay, so reasonable suspicion, probable cause, and beyond reasonable doubt, those are all criminal burdens of proof. Reasonable suspicion is the very lowest. That's what a police officer needs simply to stop someone and ask them questions. Okay, so reasonable suspicion is the lowest. If I have reasonable suspicion that you are using AI, any kind of digital source to write your paper for you. So automated intelligence is something that does the work for you. So if you buy one of those apps that like Grammarly, okay, Grammarly counts as AI in this situation, okay? But reasonable suspicion, reasonable suspicion. Okay, so that was the end of the PowerPoint. So I'm going to stop the screen share. It's very important that you keep this in mind, that using automated intelligence to do your work for you is not using your brain. It is an admission that your brain can't do it, or it is an admission that you don't have the intelligence to do it. That might sound like an insult. It's not intended to be an insult. I don't think that if you use AI that you lack the intelligence to do the work, but you seem like you believe that you lack the intelligence to do the work if you use AI. Either that or you lack the motivation. You're lazy about doing the work yourself. Okay. Now, I get that you've got a lot of papers to write, you got a lot of stuff to do, and you know something? I appreciate that. I was there as well. I did the same thing. Never cheated on a paper. We didn't even have computers when I was in undergrad. All my papers were typed on a typewriter, so I couldn't even save a file. If I had to fix something, I had to completely retype the paper. Okay, so I get running short on time. I do. I get running short on time. But you have so many tools to help you reduce the amount of time that you need, that you use. So, no plagiarism, no automated or artificial intelligence use, or any kind of digital source to do your work for you. None of that. And no cheating in any other way. As a criminal justice student who will be a criminal justice professional, okay, that is a very bad sign of what you are capable of doing in a position of responsibility with a gun strapped to your hip. We'll see you next video.